Right now, in 73 cities worldwide, it's illegal to use ground-penetrating radar within 500 feet of certain government buildings, not classified buildings, not military installations, museums, courthouses, capitals. The penalty? Federal charges. The reason? Structural safety. But according to 3 engineers who violated those restrictions anyway, what's under those buildings shouldn't exist. Complete rooms, tunnels connecting buildings that supposedly have no connection, architecture that predates the cities above it. Last week, construction workers in Denver hit something 40 feet down, not a pipe, a stained glass window. The city evacuated 6 blocks, claiming gas leak, but one worker leaked a photo before they sealed it. The architectural style matches windows found in Chicago in 1997, Moscow in 2003, São Paulo in 2019. Always 30 to 50 feet down. Always immediately classified. We're living on top of something, and someone really doesn't want us to know what. Welcome to the Rabbit Hole Chronicles. I'm Percival Blackwood. Several months ago, I was researching Operation Paperclip when I stumbled onto something that changed how I see every old building. It started with a simple question. How did they build this so fast? The Chicago Federal Building, 1905, 16 stories of intricately carved granite, each piece unique, each fitting perfectly. Official construction time, 3 years. Using today's technology, laser cutters, modern cranes, computer modelling, modern construction firms estimated 10 to 15 years minimum. So I dug deeper. The more I looked, the less sense it made. The Singer Building, New York, 1908. 47 stories, built in 18 months. The steel alone should have taken 5 years to assemble with 1900s equipment. Salt Lake Temple. They laid the foundation in 1853, then nothing for 25 years. Supply problems. Then suddenly between 1878 and 1893, they completed the most intricate stonework in America. The precision of the cuts matches modern laser cutting. In the 1880s, with hammers and chisels, I documented 847 buildings worldwide with the same impossibility. Construction times that defy physics. Stone-cutting precision that shouldn't exist until the 1960s. Identical architectural proportions across continents. There's an explanation, I'm sure. Lost techniques, exaggerated records. But then I found the photographs. Between 1851 and 1915, humanity did something insane. We built 40 temporary cities, each more magnificent than anything permanent. Displayed them for 6 months, then destroyed them completely. Not villages, cities. The 1893 Chicago World's Fair, 690 acres, 200 buildings, larger than downtown Chicago. Built in 2 years. The official story says these were temporary structures. Wood frames covered in plaster made to look like marble. I believed that. Until I found the construction photos. They show steel, actual steel framework, in structures that were supposedly temporary. The foundations went down 40 feet for buildings that would stand 6 months. The electrical system could power a modern city. They built a complete elevated railway system for a temporary fair. Then they destroyed it all. San Francisco, 1915. While the city was still rebuilding from the 1906 earthquake, they somehow built 635 acres of palaces. The Palace of Fine Arts alone was larger than any building in San Francisco. 3 years to build, 6 months of display, then demolition. 40 times. 40 cities built and destroyed. The economic loss is incomprehensible. The effort is inexplicable. Unless they weren't built for the fairs. Unless they were already there. Pull up Google Earth, type Seattle Underground Tour. You'll see an entire city level beneath modern Seattle. Complete streets, intact storefronts. The official story, after the 1889 fire, they raised the streets for better drainage. The engineering documents support this, it really happened. But Seattle isn't unique. Edinburgh has the same thing. So does Sacramento, Portland, Atlanta, Istanbul, Krakow. I've personally verified 47 cities with complete street levels underground, not ancient ruins, 19th century buildings buried. Here's what haunts me. They all happened at once. Between 1850 and 1910, dozens of cities worldwide simultaneously decided to bury their ground floors. Different continents, different governments, different stated reasons. Same exact result. That's not urban planning. That's something else. CIA document CIA-R DP78-02771 R0004003 60012-1 Declassified 1957. Page 4. Soviet historians ordered to revise the history of Greater Tartaria. That phrase sent me to the map archives. What I found there still doesn't make sense. Every world map before 1850 shows a region called Tartary, or Grande Tartary. Not vague territory, a defined area with borders, cities, trade routes. It covers what we now call Siberia, Central Asia, parts of North America. Then around 1860, it vanishes. Not conquered, not renamed, erased. Historians say Tartary was just European slang for unknown Asian regions. As knowledge improved, the term became obsolete. But I found something they don't mention. Chinese imperial records from 1644, diplomatic missions to Dardaguo, the Great Tartary Nation, Japanese maps from 1785, Datan, shown as a unified territory, Persian texts, trade agreements with Mamlakat-i-Tatar, Kingdom of Tartary. These aren't confused Europeans. These are Asian sources describing their own neighbours as a unified political entity. What happened to it? In the 1850s, something unprecedented happened. Children started appearing. Everywhere, simultaneously. New York, 1850, 30,000 orphaned children, in a city of 500,000 total population. London, 1870, 100,000 orphans. Moscow, 1880, 40,000 abandoned children. The orphan train movement relocated 250,000 children between 1854 and 1929. Britain shipped 150,000 children to colonies. Russia redistributed 300,000. The official explanation: urbanization, immigration, poverty. But I did the math. For New York to have 30,000 orphans, either 60% of all adults died in a decade, or those children came from somewhere else. The census data supports neither. Then I found the testimonies. I've read 2,000 orphan accounts from various archives. Most are typical: poverty, abandonment, disease. But 117 of them describe something else. Sarah Whitman, age 8, placed in Kansas, 1857. She drew buildings with metal frameworks and glass walls. She insisted she came from a city where the lamps needed no flame. 20 years before electric lights were invented. Thomas Hartley, age 7, placed in Illinois, 1858, described a city where the buildings sang when wind blew through their tops, and voices could travel through the air on wires. 117 children. 3 continents, similar, impossible memories. Trauma creates false memories. But the same false memories? The same technological anachronisms? In 1919, Nikola Tesla gave an interview that's been largely buried. In it, he said, "My brain is only a receiver. In the universe, there is a core from which we obtain knowledge, strength, and inspiration. I have not penetrated into the secrets of this core, but I know that it exists." But here's what's not widely known. In his personal journal found after his death, he wrote, "The ancients encoded their knowledge in architecture. Every dome, every tower, every proportion has meaning. I am not inventing. I am remembering. The evidence surrounds us, in every old city, hidden in plain sight. They knew about the electromagnetic nature of Earth. They built accordingly. We have forgotten, and now call our ignorance progress." Tesla's Wardenclyffe Tower, his failed attempt at wireless electricity, used principles that appear nowhere in his earlier work. Where did they come from? In 2019, engineer Robert Abbas analysed 500 pre-1900 buildings using electromagnetic sensors. He found copper and iron distributions creating Faraday cage effects, foundation structures that could ground atmospheric electricity, domes tuned to 7.83 Hz, the Schumann resonance. These buildings are doing something. We just don't know what. Operation High Jump, 1946. Admiral Byrd takes 4,700 men, 13 ships, and 33 aircraft to Antarctica. It's supposed to last 8 months. It ends after 8 weeks. In his only interview about it, Byrd told a Chilean newspaper, "It is necessary for the USA to take defensive actions against enemy airfighters, which come from the polar regions." Enemy airfighters from Antarctica. In 1946, the mission lost 4 aircraft. The official report has 600 pages redacted. In 2018, a whistleblower leaked 1 page from a 1962 Antarctic survey. It showed geometric structures under the ice, the kind that nature doesn't make. The image was scrubbed from the internet within 48 hours, but not before thousands saved copies. Whatever they found in 1946, it's still classified 78 years later. Last month, renovations at the Philadelphia Mint uncovered 3 basement levels that appear on no blueprint. The renovation was halted. The building is now closed indefinitely for asbestos remediation. In 2021, archaeologists found a buried structure under Boston Common. The city claimed gas leak and evacuated 6 blocks. The site remains sealed. In Prague last year, construction crews found tunnels connecting 7 pre-1850 buildings. The tunnels contained mechanical equipment no one can identify. The Czech government classified the findings for 75 years. Workers renovating pre-1900 buildings routinely sign NDAs. Ground-penetrating radar is restricted near historical sites. Archives containing pre-1850 building plans are increasingly classified. They're hiding something. Not ancient free energy, not a mud flood, but something real about our recent past. After months of investigation, here's the only explanation that fits all the evidence. Something catastrophic happened between 1810 and 1860. Not a mud flood, that's fantasy, but something that radically reorganized human civilization. The evidence points to a technological capability in the early 1800s that we've lost, a demographic disruption that produced hundreds of thousands of orphans, a systematic effort to bury or destroy certain structures, a rewriting of history to exclude something or someone. The World's Fairs weren't exhibitions, they were liquidations, showing off inherited infrastructure before destroying it. The orphans weren't from poverty, they were survivors of something we've been programmed to forget. The buildings weren't built impossibly fast, they were older than claimed. And Tartary? Maybe not an empire, but something significant enough that multiple civilizations recorded it, then simultaneously forgot it. I have questions. How did 1880s builders achieve stone-cutting precision that matches modern lasers? Why did dozens of cities simultaneously bury their ground floors between 1850 and 1910? What demographic catastrophe produced 500,000 plus orphans globally in the 1850s? Why were World's Fair cities, architectural marvels, deliberately destroyed? What technology from the 1800s did Tesla claim to be remembering rather than inventing? What did Admiral Byrd find in Antarctica that's still classified after 78 years? Why is ground-penetrating radar illegal near specific historical buildings? What are workers finding in pre-1900 buildings that requires NDAs? Don't take my word for any of this. Check for yourself. Visit your city's underground tour. Ask why similar undergrounds exist globally. Look up construction times for pre-1910 buildings in your city. Compare them to modern construction times. Check when every orphanage in your area was built. Notice the cluster in the 1850s to 1870s. Try to access pre-1850 architectural plans from your local archives. Note any restrictions. Look up photos from any World's Fair. Ask yourself if those were really temporary structures. Research what Tesla actually said about ancient architecture and electromagnetic principles. The internet's Tartarian empire, with its mud floods and free energy, is fiction, a fantasy built from misunderstood history. But the fantasy emerged because people noticed real anomalies, real patterns that don't make sense, real questions that deserve better answers than "you're crazy" or conspiracy theory. Something happened in the mid-1800s that we don't understand. Something significant enough to reorganize civilization, displace hundreds of thousands of children, and require the burial or destruction of enormous amounts of infrastructure. We're not living on top of a magical empire, we're living on top of erased history. History that someone, for some reason, doesn't want us to understand. And every year, construction workers hit another window 40 feet down, another tunnel that shouldn't exist, another building that predates its city. And every year, the sites get sealed, the workers sign NDAs, and we pretend it's normal. It's not normal. The real conspiracy isn't hiding Tartaria. It's hiding how much we've forgotten, how much knowledge was lost in the rush to industrialization, how many achievements of our ancestors we can't explain or replicate. We're so convinced of our technological superiority that we can't acknowledge when evidence suggests otherwise. So we create myths like Tartaria to explain what we refuse to investigate seriously. But the questions remain, the anomalies persist, and somewhere between everything is normal and everything is a lie is a truth stranger than either side wants to admit. Until next time, I'm Percival Blackwood for the Rabbit Hole Chronicles. Keep questioning, even if the answers lead places you never expected to go. P.S. If you work construction and hit something unusual underground, document everything before they seal it. The truth is literally beneath our feet. We just need someone brave enough to bring it to light.